Okay, everyone, this is episode 1 of Trainer Talk with Obsidian K9. I'm your host, Jay Gray, and this is the Gray and Rob Peladeau. Rob's got a pretty famous video on YouTube where he spoke at Google. We're going to have a chat about that soon. But first, I guess you tell us about your background, Rob. You know, where did it all start? Who are you? What do you do?
Well, my start, like I talked about in that video, I started out as a mechanic and had a yard that had cars in it that I wanted to protect using a sentry or a perimeter dog. And thought that if you just get a mean breed type, that it would protect naturally. And that certainly didn't turn out to be the case. And because of that failure, I wanted to learn more about dogs and dog training. Got connected with a couple of other people in the area, and we just kind of grew up together in it. Got a hold of every training video, went to every type sport club and everything to learn from the trainers that were out there at that time. And it grew from interest into a hobby into a career. And as that career grew in dog training, I got involved with more in law enforcement, et cetera. And a lot of law enforcement guys asked me to become thought it would be a good idea if I also became a police officer. And so I did that as well. And here we are today.
So this was never on the cards for you then? It was never the plan?
No, this was not the plan. No.
Wow.
I was more than happy just fixing cars.
So how do you then go from, obviously it started as an interest and like you said, then a hobby. How do you make the transition from I enjoy doing this to, hey, I'm actually good at this, maybe I can make a living out of it?
Well, the way it kind of took off when I figured out that I might have a natural talent for this was during that process, a friend of mine had a Rottweiler he wanted to get rid of because he was so vicious.
Okay.
And, yeah, so he found out I was wanting to get a dog for my yard. And so I went over to his house and went to his backyard by myself, and the Rottweiler was staked out. I walked up to the Rottweiler, grabbed him by the face, and started playing rough with them, and we just had a good old time. He comes out and says, "Oh my God, what are you doing? That dog wants to eat everybody." But yes, it was one of those moments where I went, "Wow, maybe dogs like me."
Yeah, maybe I have a knack for this.
Yeah.
Cool. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. So what area would you say you're most involved in? You know, what are your current dogs involved in?
So my current dogs, I'm down to 2 dogs. Probably for the first time, that's my lowest inventory in 15 years. I usually run between 5 and 7 dogs. My current 2 dogs, one is my dog Samson, who's in that video, and he's actually my patrol dog when I work for the PD. And then the other one's Samson's a Malinois, and then we got Dash, who's a Malinois that we trained as a service dog. He'll be going to a disabled veteran.
Nice.
Yeah. So those are
Samson's the dog that you had at your talk at Google, right?
Yes, sir.
So how did that come on? In fact, 2 seconds. Let me just go and grab some headphones because it's really feedbacky.
Okay.
So if you tell people how you got into the talk at Google, like, that's crazy. I'll be back in a second.
All right. The talk at Google came about because, well, being in the Bay Area, you're almost certainly going to meet people in the tech industry. And I have clients from everywhere from Google to Square, Yahoo, every sector of the tech industry. I have clients that have come from that. And one of my clients had a dog who was extremely leash reactive and borderline dog aggressive. And after just one lesson, we got the dog to be able to coexist and cohabitate with another dog with her boyfriend. She was in charge of the Google outreach and asked if I would be interested in doing a talk for them. And it took us about 6 months to get it approved and the project going forward. Went out to the Google Flex and did that talk there. And from that talk, it's brought about people and interest in all of, call them friends for lack of a better word, throughout the world who have watched that video and have learned and grown from it.
Okay, I'm back.
All right, is that better? No, I can't hear you yet. Still not hearing you. Hello.
Okay, I can't have headphones then. That's bizarre.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, that was a good try.
So, in that talk, I think the standout thing, I was watching that talk when I was just sort of starting in this game. I think the standout thing was your explanation on classical and operant conditioning.
Yes.
And not only that, but you know what it brings to the table in dog training. If you could expand on that for people, that'd be awesome. Because I know a lot of people struggle with the difference, and to explain it, people are not very articulate sometimes.
Sure. Well, the easiest way to think about classical conditioning, many people know Pavlov's dog, and that's where we get classical conditioning from, is the experiments that Pavlov did with dogs in his kennels. Basically, classical conditioning is pairing something the dog understands to something they don't understand. So in this case, it would ring a bell, and then food would drop down a chute into their bowl. And after a while, they tested it, they would ring the bell, not drop anything, the dog could actually salivate because it had the same effect on them each and every time. So therefore, he concluded that we can pair something that gets the same physiological response from the actual substance. So let's call it a reward, a primary and secondary reward. In this case, the food is your primary reward. The sound is your secondary reward. So it doesn't matter if it's a bell, if it's a clicker, if it's a tone you make with your own voice or a snap of your fingers. If you make that sound or even a movement before issuing a primary reward, in this case we'll call it food, eventually will have almost the same effect as not giving them the primary at all. So it's pairing the two together. That's classical conditioning. So I say yes, food, yes, food, yes, food. Pretty soon I say yes, the dog goes, I just got food. The purpose for classical conditioning, and what we moved it into, is what we call marker training. And for those who use a clicker, it's clicker training, but really a clicker is just a marker. Because dogs' minds don't work like ours where they can backward reason. I can say, hey, sit over there and I'll give you a reward. You can go there an hour later and I can say, okay, here's your reward. And you'll be fine. The dogs don't work that way. You tell a dog sit, his butt hits the ground, the amount of time it takes you to deliver the primary reinforcer, the primary reward, in this case food, the dog's already forgotten why he's gotten that reward. Right?
I think that's a part that a lot of people miss in it, and it's so important that the dog has to understand in this moment right now why the reward came, not in an hour's time or 20 minutes. And I guess the same backwards, you know, Fluffy poos on the floor, and then they come in and scold him, and he's like,
yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. And that's a huge mistake. We can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get on to that later. So.
Yeah, so to enforce what we're asking, do we want to create a snapshot in the dog's mind? So as soon as his butt hits the floor, we say yes, or we click, or whatever our secondary reinforcer is. We go yes, the dog immediately knows he got paid for that position. So it's timing. Timing is everything in that, and that's what we use classical conditioning for, and how it works within the dog training world. But what we also have to understand is there has to be a moment of time when pairing the two together. If we go yes with our food, the dog never associates the two. So that's another thing that Pavlov taught us. This part of the experiment was dropping the food at the same time as the dinner bell went off. Pretty soon he just rang the dinner bell and there would be no change in behavior from the dogs. Because they just paid attention to the primary one. There was no cue, or what we would call an antecedent, the thing that happened beforehand. So it's important to first teach your dog what the marker means, which is why most people fail with clicker training and marker training, is because they never take the time just to teach the dog, yes, treat, yes, treat, yes, treat. Do that for a few days. For no reason whatsoever, just say yes, treat.
Yeah, and that's a problem I get with my clients as well. They're like, but he's not doing anything. I should ask him for a behavior. And it's like, oh, slow down, Chico. You know, let's just deal with this step.
Exactly. Yeah, for lack of a better term, let's call it charging the marker. Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, we're going to make the marker mean something. And I usually include a physical movement along with it. So if I say yes, I make the dog physically break his position and come get his reward.
Yeah.
That way the dog gets
Operant conditioning now.
Yep. So that's classical. Operant conditioning, more along the lines like what Dr. Ian Dunbar and those guys did. Operant conditioning is requiring the dog to have an active thought process, an active kind of mind, where you get some dogs, if you hold their food, they will sit, lay down, stand up, bark, bark, bark. They're trying to figure out how to get that reward out of your hand. That's operant conditioning. So after a little bit of teaching the dog a behavior, you say sit. It's okay, we'll keep using sit as our foundation. Sit. He says sit, sit. Pretty soon you go sit, the dog look at you, and you just hold that food reward until he puts his butt down on the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a dog figuring it out, or a dog who hasn't quite got past the physical prompt to go lay down. So you tell, after you showed him, then you say down, and you wait. And he looks at you. You see his little head turning, and he goes, is this the behavior you want? He starts offering you a behavior. That's the foundation of operant conditioning. You know, that's where you want your dog to be in that kind of mindset, where how do I get this?
And where do you think the two have their place? You know, like for people that have never used classical or operant conditioning without knowing it, how would you describe to someone new to this, you know, you should choose classical for this, or you should practice operant conditioning for this?
Well, they really kind of mesh and overlap each other constantly in dog training without even realizing that's what's going on.
Yeah, I was hoping that's where you were going to go, because I think people get too stuck on, I should only use this, and in reality, they're blending the two when they have no idea.
Absolutely. You're, and it's no different than what kind of behavior shaping you're going to do. Can you shape? Can you do modeling? You know, these kind of things. You know, all those things kind of overlap each other because each dog has its own way of learning, just like humans. Some dogs are very active-minded, we'll call them, the ones who are very trainable through operant conditioning. Some dogs have to be bribed through every step, every lure. You know, you got to constantly lure them. You have to show them what's ahead. And some of those dogs stay in that inactive kind of brain activity where you got to use a lot of shape, a lot of pressure, things like that to help the dog understand this is the behavior I want. Because you got really that guy who goes, how do I get that? Maybe he doesn't have a high food toy or any other reward guy. He just kind of hates life and goes, I don't want to do this today. Yeah, so you have to work with where the dog's brain is at. So
yeah, I think that's the important thing in it, to understand that, you know, how this guy trains or how she trains is very different to how one of my other dogs trains.
Right.
What makes them tick and what helps them move forward is different for every dog, and I think a lot of my clients and people on the internet as well, they get stuck in it. How do I train X? And it's like, you train X in a manner that the dog responds well to.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where, you know, being a professional comes in handy in those cases, because sometimes it is so minute, the difference between the dogs and what it takes. And just like any of the 4 quadrants of behavior modification, you know, every dog rides in a different spectrum on that. And some dogs do well with reward-based only. Some dogs do well with more negative reinforcement. Some dogs do well with positive punishers and negative punishers. You know, every dog has to have a little bit of different things. If you only sit in one quadrant, you will never be able to shape your dog's behavior in a manner that may be successful had you gone into the other quadrants.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's. We're going to get into the quadrants soon. Let's just say hello to everyone. Amanda, hello. Oh, Andy Bates here. Nice. Kat, you're coming on tomorrow, I believe. Drew's on, hopefully with his little Mally. Gareth's on, 2 Weimaraners. What on earth are you doing? James with his Shepherd. Jennifer Neville. Oh, Kev's here. Awesome. Let's have a quick chat about Kev. I'm sure he won't mind. Kev bred and trained all of this guy's working to. I only came by this dog maybe 4 or 5 months ago now. So yeah, thanks Kev for all the awesome foundations that you put in. And Matt Van Dart, perfect. Okay, Rob, let's get to another question. If you could stop doing this now, that would be awesome. Okay, philosophy of dog. Yeah, right. Don't get a Rottweiler if you don't want to cuddle your dog, people.
Right.
Philosophy of dog training. So I think there's obviously the 2 spectrums here. Positive reinforcement only trainers, force-free trainers, and balanced trainers. I know where you fall in this, but do you want to tell everyone what your view is on dog training?
Yeah, I think the reason why we get called balanced trainers is because we do try to balance what the dog needs, as opposed to just having a very one-sided way of doing things. You know, man, there's almost a religious kind of feel to both ends of the camp, you know, where people are so entrenched into their own ideology that they cannot open up the possibilities that there may be something else you need to do. And I would challenge anybody who calls themselves to be a positive reinforcement only trainer to one concept, and that is when you take away that food reward from your dog, you have just created a negative pressure. Can you still call yourself a reward-based or positive-only trainer? You can't.
Yeah, that's a good point. Really good point.
Yeah, it's really simple. And the second highest producer of cortisol in a dog's blood when being stressed, compared to a positive punisher, the second highest is withholding a food reward.
Okay, I never knew that. It's really interesting.
Yeah. So there's, you got to be honest with what you understand about dog training and psychology, and understanding that giving a dog a leash correction is not negative reinforcement. That's a positive punisher. Taking away a food reward, or closing the door because your dog wants to charge you out the door, you open your door a little bit, you go to get up, you close the door, that's a negative punisher.
Yeah,
You're removing something from the environment. A positive punisher is introducing something into the environment, whether it be a collar correction or citronella spray, or honking a horn or shaking a can of rocks, or whatever it is, something that introduces into the environment. That's a positive punisher. So
while we're on this, do you want to quickly explain what the 4 quadrants are? I'm pretty sure everyone here will know, but obviously this will go out afterwards. And there'll be people like positive punisher. Like, shouldn't that be negative?
Yeah. So, and we got to make sure we don't get too tied up on the words negative. So there's positive punishers, positive reinforcement, negative punishers, negative reinforcement. Again, positive punishers are something when you introduce something to the environment, including a voice reprimand. Yelling at your dog no is a positive punisher. Negative punishers, like I said, are removing something from the environment, whether it's removing a food reward, or if you're teaching your dog to sit before they eat, and you hold the bowl, and you go to put it down, they go to stand up, you take the bowl back. That's a negative punisher. It's something unpleasant for the dog. Punishers are meant to be something unpleasant. The problem is people get stuck on the word punisher as if there's some kind of emotional quality to it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
It's not. It's no different than a judge sitting up on his stand and announcing a punishment to a criminal. He has no emotional attachment to the punishment. Punishers are meant to deter behavior, plain and simple. It's not about expressing anger or frustration, which is why I think most people kind of use the word vernacularly, whereas opposed to reinforcements, which are meant to increase the behavior. So there's positive and negative reinforcers. A positive reinforcer, again, the word positive means adding something to the environment. I'm going to
adding something to the environment to reduce the behavior.
Yep. Well, reinforcement is to increase the behavior.
Yeah.
Reinforcers increase behavior, positives diminish behavior, or punishers diminish behavior.
Yeah.
You can't use a positive reinforcement thing to diminish or extinguish a behavior unless your reward is so high the dog can't think about doing anything else. And most dogs don't have a reward other than a good cat chase or a good rabbit chase that's going to make them that happy about doing anything. So the other end of the spectrum is the punishers and diminish behaviors, reinforcers increase. So a positive reinforcement, again, can be anything like food. It can be a toy. I primarily train my working dogs on toys, rather than food. It creates more of an engagement, etc. But we can talk about all that later. But yeah, reinforcement is meant to increase the behavior. I want you to do more of it. I want you to do it faster. I want more of that behavior. A negative reinforcer is the same thing. It's meant to increase the behavior. So in a couple of different ways I can explain that, is a dog who we want to track for us. If we want our dogs to put their nose to the ground and start tracking, we put a harness on them, we put a leash behind them, we pull them back, we teach them how to put their nose down to the ground and keep it there. They pull, and as far as they're concerned, their pull is getting them where they want to be. We're holding back something from the environment for them to increase their behavior to pull towards the next thing. Now, the average pet owner understands that as a dog pulling on his leash on a walk. Every day you allow your dog to pull you on a leash, you're using negative reinforcement to ensure the dog continues to pull on his leash, even though you're not aware of it.
And I think that's a good point in it. That I say to a lot of my clients, like, you've trained this behavior, you just don't know it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just the omission of changing the behavior. And an expression I use a lot with clients is a behavior that's allowed is a behavior that's encouraged. And a behavior that's encouraged is a behavior that's going to be repeated. So if I allow my dog to pull on the leash today, I guarantee you he's going to pull on the leash tomorrow. And if I allow the dog to get up on the furniture or jump up and knock Granny down, he's going to do it tomorrow too, because you allowed it.
And I think I see it anyway. I don't know if you see the same. A lot of people, for me, think that their dog's performing this behavior because they're cruel or because they're being stubborn or, you know, insert human emotion here that just doesn't exist.
Anthropomorphisms, you know, is what it comes down to, and there's too much of it in the dog world, but yeah, we can touch on that a little bit later too, but anthropomorphisms are, the number one culprit and the reason why most dogs behave badly.
Yeah. Oh, this is a good way to lead on.
Yeah.
If you could teach everybody watching in the future one thing only, what would it be?
One thing only. Yeah, I think that would be that. A behavior that you allow is a behavior that's going to be repeated.
Yeah. Because I think as soon as people understand that, a lot of them are going to be reduced, yeah?
Yeah, and you have, the problem is people try to tell their dog no in a way that the dog doesn't understand.
I've told him 7 times today already.
Yeah,
cool, he doesn't speak English.
Yeah, he does not speak English, and you've never paired it to something that has a consequence. Whether it's a positive punisher or a negative punisher. You know, no, I don't want you running out the door, I'm going to close the door. Until you learn to just be calm and stay there, you're not going to get what you want, which is go out the door. Right? So that's just...
Exactly.
Yeah, so if you let your dog pull today, he's going to pull tomorrow, he's going to pull forever.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's important for people to realize that's not just pulling, that's any behavior that, well, like this, I allow this because I enjoy this. But if all of a sudden I didn't want this, every time I allow it, it's reinforced behavior in it for it to increase more and more and more in the future.
Exactly.
I mean, I think this is great. Okay. A couple of questions about your time as a canine handler. How long did you have to join the police before you're accepted as a handler?
I have a very unique situation, so mine is not typical of the average law enforcement guy who got to be a canine handler. Like I said, I was already involved with law enforcement canine training even before I went to the police academy. And because of that, the agency I went to work for was one that we were very familiar with each other. So, you know, they kind of hired me on, brought me on there so I could be an asset to their canine programs. So before... So
you kind of walked in then?
They had given me a dog. You know, I go, okay, go get this one ready. So I'm probably the
what would be typical then? What would be typical for a, you know, on the beat cop, I want to be a canine handler?
So, depending on the agency you're with, first of all, you would have to finish your probationary period, which is a minimum of 18 months in California. Successfully pass your FTO, your field training program, and be off probation, and then you would go before, if there was a handler position available, you would go before an oral board, the same way you did when you got hired, where there were experts in the field and former canine handlers and administration who were there to interview you on your capabilities and your, your abilities to do the job in the way that they want it to be done. Yeah,
so are you going to be cut out for this? Are you a good fit for this unit?
Yeah, are you a good fit for a canine program? What is your motivation for being a current canine handler? Because you like the like the title position and it's a cool thing to do. And I mean, it's a very glamorous job.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Everybody wants to be that, It's one, but it's also the most time consuming, and probably the most dangerous for any law enforcement officer to be assigned to is the canine handler position, because you are out in front. Your focus is on your canine doing his job, and therefore you can miss some things. And if you don't have good cover officers behind you doing their job well, you are in the line of fire. You are most likely the one who's going to get hit first.
Yeah, for sure. And moving on from that, live bites on the job.
So personally, because the department I'm with, again, we're a small agency and we're a very law enforcement friendly agency. So I have, we use dogs for apprehension purposes. Bring the dog out, he finds, locates, that guy gives up. That's the primary purpose of a canine, is a locating tool. So in our agency, we don't have any street bites, because as soon as we find them, the guys give up. Because we do a lot of demos and stuff, and most of these guys, we're all familiar with them. It's a town of 5,000 people. So everybody knows everybody, and they know the dogs will do the job. So, yeah, if they're not giving up, their mother's telling us where their kid is. It's not something along here, or the community is like, no, he's in the basement, man. So I lost your volume. Did I lose you, or did you lose me?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
What I said, I'd muted my microphone. I don't know how I did it. People watching like, oh, you must be really upset that you got no street bites. And I think what they miss is your job's to avoid them at all costs, right?
Yeah, my job is to save fellow officers' lives by being able to send in a locating tool and be one that's more successful just with his nose than we could ever do with our eyes. The point is to bring in someone without violence.
Yeah.
The glamour is, the street fight. And I train some agencies who are very target-rich environments. With dogs with 36 street fights in 5 years. So, but it's a larger agency. It's in a more crime-ridden area, and people are much more likely to resist than they are in our neighborhood. We get very few who resist. Now,
well, you have to be really, really stupid, in my opinion, to resist. You've got a dog like this barking at you. It's like, I'm good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we're rational people. Criminals aren't always rational.
Yeah, true. And I guess, drugs and substances and people are stupid. Okay,
Yeah.
What else we got?
Good way to put it.
How do you get into dog training? We've got that. Okay, the most common thing I see in my pet clients is dog-to-dog reactivity. At huge distances, they see a dog, immediately go into lock stare, stancing, going nuts. I can only assume that lots of people watching this are going to have that problem in their life.
Absolutely.
What would be your blueprint?
Well, let's back it up to the start of leash reactivity. What creates leash reactivity? And in my opinion, the over-socialization of dogs is what's creating these leash reactivity. When we were growing up, dogs were just dogs. They lived in the backyard or in the house with us. They didn't go to puppy socials. We didn't have dog parks. We walked our own dogs, and therefore dogs never really thought about other dogs. But through this era of over-socialization and dog parks and doggy play dates and all these other things that people are doing with their dogs, we have created dogs who are hyper excited to see another dog. They've allowed the dogs to run and jump and play and crash and bash with other dogs. So what do they think was going to happen when they see another dog? They're going to scream. They're going to be excited. I got to get over there, because, to be honest, most of the time that we have leash reactivity, it's an over-interest of another dog, and the leash becomes a frustration point. It's almost barrier aggression. I can't get to you.
Yeah, you're preventing me from going up.
Yeah, and then they get to and then you add to that the negative reinforcement of pulling on the leash, and they actually go over and let the dog say hi. Now you've actually increased that behavior because you use the reinforcer, you've increased the behavior. So it becomes, it just kind of spirals out of control, worse and worse and worse. So the things that we have to do first is through good foundation work from the time the dog's 6 weeks old until the dog's a year old, is understanding that socialization is not the be-all, end-all that you're being sold that it is. Socialization should be more, if we could change the word, it should be exposure. Exposure,
yeah, I like that one, yeah.
Engagement with your dog while they're exposed to other dogs. And I use my own dog, Samson, as the best example of that. For the first 12 months of his life, he didn't see other dogs and play with other dogs and all that. Once he was broken away from his litter, it was him and the human. And the human provides food and play. It's a Malinois, so there's a lot of play and a lot of engagement.
Right.
And allowing him to satisfy his drives through his human counterpart. So as he grew older, once he got through the years of, the 1 year of imprinting, we'll call it, then the dog never saw another dog as a reward, but he also never saw another dog as a negative. So you raise a neutral dog. A dog who's
so it's just the same as him seeing a wall or a bench. Or...
Exactly. He's desensitized to it. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. And now we have a dog who he can't be with other dogs. He will hang out with other dogs. But if I walk out there, he will immediately leave 5 or 6 other dogs and run to be at my side because something great's going to happen there. And like I say in the Google video, Disneyland is right here next to me. It's the greatest place on earth. Tug toys and food.
I think that's a good time to get on to engagement as well. It's something that I'm a huge fan of, and I know Drew. I think, is Drew still in? Let me just have a quick look. Attendees. Oh yeah, Drew's still here. He sent me a message saying the webinar wouldn't load, but I didn't see it. Sorry, Drew. Both really big on engagement. You interact with me, not your toy, not your reward. You have to go through me to get that. And I'm sure you've seen Michael Ellis's philosophy of dog training video.
Oh yeah.
I think we should talk about that a bit.
The engagement games and everything. Yeah, it's no different. I absolutely preach that there should be no toys on the ground. There should be nothing the dog can get to without him doing something for you first. There needs to be, you can leave 100 toys on the ground and your dog will walk over the top of them because there's no engagement from you.
Yeah.
Leave them all there. They'll either, if you leave out, little tug toys or stuff like that, stuffed animals, it might rip it apart, but there's no engagement coming from it. I can take out the same toy every day and my dog thinks it's Christmas. Because every day that toy is brand new and there's something magic going to happen when I make it move in my hand.
So really, you're the toy. The toy is actually just a means of you being able to play with the dog. We use a toy instead of our hands. Otherwise they'd be chewing on our arms and our legs and our clothing and everything else. So we teach them here's your acceptable things that we can engage with. But yeah, absolutely, you are part of the toy. And that toy doesn't get to go back. If it's a tug toy, that toy only comes out if I want to play tug. A tug toy is never a chew toy. And a chew toy isn't meant to be a tug toy. They should be 2 different entities. So if I want to give my dog something to chew on, I'll give him something that in nature he'll find, like an antler. I let him chew on that. He walks away from it. I take it back. Then next time he looks at it, he goes, "Oh my God, there's that antler." I have a trick question that I ask a lot of people, and maybe you can answer this question right off the bat. We'll see. What is the one thing that every dog wants? The one thing that every dog wants. Go on.
It's what the other dog has.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Yeah, you see that in pet homes all the time, don't you? He only likes the toy that she has.
Right, and so you become that other dog. I have the toy that you want. Why do you want it? Because I have it.
Come and play with me.
Yeah, that's the engagement. That's where the dog starts to understand, and that's how you keep the value to the toy, to the chew toy, to the tug toy. To keep the value by it always comes from you. And it's somehow in your hand, and the dog gets up and goes, "Oh, I mean, I can have all the Malinois laying right side by side chewing on stuff, but as soon as one of them lets them go, the other one's jumping over and grabbing it, and then the other one's grabbing their toy, and they are happy to chew on those again for a while. So be the other dog.
So what's the most common thing that you see with your clients and deal with? And
obviously, leash reactivity is a huge problem, especially being so close to California or to San Francisco. A lot of the biggest proponents of reward-based only training and cookie training for leash reactivity, we're seeing a lot more of the failures that have come out of that. And they're being raised puppy socials and going to places, the chain stores for dog training where negative things are happening in their dog's puppy time. So it creates a lot of leash reactivity and early on dog aggression, a lack of proper exposure to environment, where the dog doesn't get used to environments first. They wait too long to start. They wait too long.
3-year-old dog that's never ever seen anything except the field.
Yeah, or someone's house, and especially if you get into some of the more high-end dogs, working German Shepherds, etc., where people, at some point in their life, they had a German Shepherd that was a big slug. And then they buy a German Shepherd from a very quality breeder, and they've got this dog who's driving them nuts, eating them out of house and home, tearing everything up, and they're like, what's wrong? Well, congratulations, you got a real German Shepherd this time.
Yeah.
You got a fluke last time. And people need to understand the breed they're walking into and where they're coming from and what the breed was intended to do. And understand that and just because one dog is one way from a litter doesn't mean the next dog's that way either. There's no 100% on anything. They're like humans. A man and a woman can have 5 kids, and every one of those kids is different from each other.
100%. It's the same in a litter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly the same in a litter, and I'm just in the process of writing about genetics. I think this is where temperament testing is so important. You want a certain kind of dog to grow up. I want a personal protection dog, or I want a drug dog, or do you want a pet that lays on the sofa and doesn't do anything? Because I think you've got to pick your puppy more carefully than people think, right?
Right. Well, when it comes, and that goes back to even choosing a dog, people should understand who they're buying the dog from if they are going to a breeder. Understand that they should probably spend the money up front because it's kind of a pay me now, pay me later kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
You go with a backyard breeder, you buy a German Shepherd for, a few $100s, but you're going to have thousands of dollars of issues. Where you can go up and buy, a couple $1,000 German Shepherd and have a very healthy, very well-balanced, very well-socialized dog from the breeder who actually works a program of exposure and engagement from the time he's a puppy. So, and then from that, you want a specific type. You've got to be willing to be patient enough to go and find out what each of those puppies is. I walk in, I got breeders who call me and go, I've got a 5-week-old who's being a real a-hole. Would you like this dog?
Yes.
Absolutely. And I take him and I raise him, and pretty soon he's a working dog, and I'm placing him with the department. Because that breeder was good enough to recognize her dogs, who understands her dogs. And she would have me come out and test all of her dogs and say, which one should I put together to get the kind of dog you want? And those are good breeders, and they're bringing dogs in from Germany, and they're sending their dog, to Germany so they can, create, increase the gene pool and, minimize the health effects, etc. There's good breeders out there, but you're paying for that. And then when you do select a breeder from them or a dog from them, understand that you need to go out and understand what kind of behaviors mean the dog will fit your lifestyle. You got a dog who, if it comes in, you go into the group of puppies and only that one dog is just clinging to you and laying on your foot. That dog probably isn't going to go out and be a working dog. He'll probably just want to lay on your foot all his life.
Yeah.
Whereas the one who wants no business and no part of you, who only wants the toy to be thrown and who will run, roughshod over the other dogs, and you want a pet who's going to come with you, I probably wouldn't pick that dog.
It just wants to fight with everybody for the rest of its life.
Yeah, exactly. So understand what you're getting into.
Kev just brought up a really good point. He's just messaged me on Facebook saying bad upbringing can absolutely ruin genetics as well. You know, you get this dog that's got tons of prey drive and tons of fight drive, and then someone gets it and locks it in a shed for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
You come out, you've got a very broken dog to work with, right? You're never gonna you never see the true dog.
Right. And, that's one of the things that gets preached out there too. And you know, I'm not a breedist. I love all dogs, but I understand every dog's bred to do a certain thing. You know, and you get the people who say it's not how they're raised. It's not who they are. It's how they're raised. Yeah. We get into genetics. I got a couple of cousins that are watching this webcast as well, so they'll know this story already. You know, so you were asking me how I got into dog training and why I did it. Well, there's a deeper thing that I didn't know about until I was in my 30s. So I was adopted as a child, and I didn't get to meet my biological family until I was in my 30s.
Okay.
But I grew up into guns and motorcycles and camping and crazy things and a political conservative, and I was raised by a very white-bread kind of family who just couldn't understand me. And I was into dog training. I got into the dogs and everything else, and then I met my biological family, and he trained hunting dogs. And he was into motorcycles and everything else. So all these things, I was raised 3,000 miles apart without any concept of who the human being is, but yet there was so much, oh, look at that one. There was so much being done genetically. And so, did I choose to be a dog trainer, or was my genetics so strong that I followed in another man's footsteps that I never met?
So do you think? I think for me, genetics are, you know, building blocks of who is this dog, you know, by its birthright, right. And then, like Kev said, you can either trash that genetics, can't you, and ruin it, or you can build off it from a great foundation to start with.
Like, you know, it's not a nature versus nurture thing. It's a nurturing the nature.
Yeah.
You bring out the best in dogs. I've seen some very good Malinois puppies who were raised by the wrong person, and we ended up with a neurotic, sharp, edgy dog. Because they didn't dog what the dog needed genetically. They didn't nurture his nature.
Yeah.
So his
so
nature
the dog was this way inclined, and he's just completely ignored it and gone, I'm going to teach you like this.
Yeah. You know, or didn't teach at all. And didn't give the dog an outlet and understand where his outlets could be given. So the dog's searching and reaching and chewing and biting and tearing things up because he was never given the proper instruction on where to allow his behaviors to be manifested. So yeah, and Malinois is very mouthy, and they're very much able to do a job that many dogs can't. And if you've got one who's willing to engage a human being, and you don't teach him this is when it can happen, he's going to use his own mind to make that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't take a dog who has high prey drive and go, you can chase this tug toy and you can satisfy that drive through this bite suit or this tug toy or this ball or anything else that I let you play with, then he's going to have to satisfy that drive somewhere else. And he's going to chase every cat, chase every dog, chase every little child. And what does he do when he gets there? He bites it. Why? Because he's a Malinois and he bites things.
Oh, another question. In fact, I've got a few questions that have come through here, and I didn't see them, and I'm not entirely. They're in a tiny, tiny, tiny box on the side of my screen, and I can read one line of them at a time. So let's go to the top. James, good sources to learn about dog training and dog psychology to help your training effectiveness.
That's the question. What do we use?
That's the question. So any good, you know, videos or books or
oh my gosh,
that you can consume.
Hold on a second. Let me turn around here. I've got to get her name off of my book here. There it is. I had to remember it a minute. I'm getting old. Many people know who Temple Grandin is. And Temple Grandin is a woman with severe autism.
Okay.
But she was raised by a very wonderful woman who would not allow that problem to be, she wouldn't cater to the problem, so she made her start to understand how she thinks. So basically the woman Temple Grandin understands through her own thought process the way her mind works. She was able to understand how animals think, but yet translate it into a human thought process. So she's an inventor. She invents livestock chutes and things like that because she can see things the way animals see things. So she's written books and she's done lectures. I've been to her lectures, read her books. She has probably done more for me in regards to the understanding of animal psychology than anybody else. So if you want to read a great book that's scientifically based, that's not riddled with a preconceived notion or an agenda because they want to push a training style, read her books like Animals in Translation. That book will do more for you than anything. I highly recommend that, more than any other dog trainer book or anything.
So James, go and buy the book. What I'll do is, once I edit this together and put it up, for everyone else to see, I'll stick links for anything that we refer to in the description, so you'll get them there. Okay, I'm going to go oldest to newest, so Kev, bear with me on the one you've just asked. From Kev, what's your best achievement in canine law enforcement?
Oh, I don't know. I would have to say my best achievement is not as a handler, but in being able to raise dogs that have actually gone on to do the job and been successful in their fields, working for someone. That's probably my biggest pride and joy, is knowing that I've raised puppies that are now working with agencies that are out there helping communities and keeping people safe. After that, my own dogs, winning awards and competitions have been awesome as well. But yeah, the biggest achievement for me is not my own achievements, but somebody else's. With my dogs.
Yeah, and I think that's true of a lot of people. People that are in this game for the right reasons, and not because I did this and I did this. And
yeah.
I guess it is what it is. What do you think of Nepo Pearl by Bart Bellin?
I think he's just come across a way of saying the same thing. He's a good trainer. I've been to his lectures. I go see him every time they have a canine conference in America. But he's saying stuff that we've been saying for 10, 20 years, just putting it into a different concept. Like I said, I'm not saying anything new or anything different. My only difference is I have an ability to talk. I love sounding like a voice.
That's true for probably all dog trainers, isn't it? Can you articulate this to a human being? You might know it in here, you might have a great dog, but can you teach somebody else?
Yeah.
I think that's what separates people. James, tips on how to get clients for your training business.
Man, the biggest thing is, for me has always been the word of mouth kind of thing. I use Yelp. I have really good reviews on Yelp because every time I help a client, it's a personal project. I make sure that they understand exactly what I'm doing, and I'm helping them to achieve something that was otherwise very bothersome in their life, that is making their life miserable. And by doing it well, they want to say good things, and the more people say good things, the more it comes to you. Yeah, and don't be afraid to share your knowledge with just somebody standing there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think social media is a great tool now as well. Like, I post probably 3 to 5 things every day about, a real dog training help tool, and they're like, oh, you're giving all away your information. It's like 90% of people will take it and do nothing with it and then ring me.
Yeah.
The nature of human beings, and I think as well, to take on tasks that you can deal with, but that are very difficult. My Rottweiler's just tried to kill my 3-year-old. If you fix that, she's going away to tell the world.
Yeah. I go back I put up videos every now and then on how to train certain things, and hey, do this, that. Not everything, because some of the stuff really is about timing and being intuitive. I can't teach my intuition. I can't teach those little things that I'm looking for that I can't even articulate. I just know. And I think if you're really good,
sure. There's something that I call feel. They're like, how do you know? And it's like you.
Yeah. If you know, if you and I are talking, I don't need to explain it. And if I'm talking to somebody who doesn't understand it, no explanation is possible. It's just who you are. But the people who, if you're worried about that, those aren't your clients anyway. Yeah,
I think you can see it in other people as well, can't you? Like, I'll send you a video of Kev's over later on if he's cool with that. But if you see Kev train, you can see his gut feel. He just knows. He just, like you say, there's no way to articulate this. It's a thing in here somewhere. Not in here.
Yeah, and the dogs know it too. And like we get dogs keep coming in, their human aggression. They call, my dog goes after, you know, this and that. The dog comes in the house and it climbs in my lap.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something I did. I can't tell that dog, but the dog knows, and you know, they're working on that same level. They're working on the feels. You know, so it's you can't teach that. You have it or you don't.
And I think that's the biggest shame for me in dog training, that, like you say, so far nobody can articulate that. It's just something you intuitively know.
Right.
Okay, James again. How do you make a toy high value? Oh, how do you make a toy a high value reward, basically, is what he's asking.
Well, first the dog has to want it as a reward. So if the dog has some interest in the toy, again, you get to be the other dog. So if I want my dog to increase his possessiveness for a toy, I'm going to do a couple of different things. And again, how do we increase behavior? We use reinforcement. So if I want my dog to really hang on to a toy and really want the toy, I'm going to take the toy away from him. So when we teach dogs how to, you know, when we're starting to teach grip foundation, bite foundation for a dog, we're teaching them to come on to that sleeve or that suit. How do we get him to bite harder? Drag him off of it, and then let him go back to it. And he bites harder and deeper. Pull him off. So he figures out if he bites hard enough, I can't pull him off. That's negative reinforcement. So people do that accidentally when they're fetching with their dog, and the dog comes back, brings a toy, they reach in, pull the ball out of the mouth. And the dog goes, now I really want that ball. And the next time, I'm going to just run around the yard so you can't get my ball back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's also how we teach that possessiveness, where if you put it down, I'm going to run over and grab it. So as soon as the dog drops something, I run and grab it because I want him to think I really want it. Because we go back to what does every dog want? What the other dog has.
The dog has, yeah.
I'm going to run and get it. You know, so you toss it a little bit and you jump on it. You make a miss. For a dog who's got good toy drive, you know, so we play with the toy. He goes to jump for it and bite. I make a miss. And then I make a miss again. I make a miss again. And then when he really jumps hard at it, he bites it, he holds it. Then we have a good tug. Then we release and we start all over again. You start building that desire for it. Also making sure that when you are using a toy, you're not feeding it into their mouth. You make him have to come for it every time. I'm not going to do a good dog, here's your toy into your mouth. There's no value to that. I'm going to make the dog miss. He comes up, bites it, hangs on. He goes, best day ever.
Cool. I like that. I like that explanation. Hopefully that answered it, James. It did for me. But if you've got any more questions after, just ping one of us a message. Kev, I really like this question as well. Grips. You know, so for working dogs, is the grip genetic or is it trained, in your opinion?
Yes.
I agree, and I'm sure Kev agrees as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait for his message to say that he agreed.
Yeah, nurture nature. Yeah,
Both.
so
the dog has to have good. So you're saying the dog has to have good grips genetically, and then they have to be built upon.
If the dog is chomping on the bite, if he's really typewritery as a puppy, he's probably going to be that way later. If we can, you know, you can train some of it, you can nurture some of that nature, but front dogs who are frontal right from the beginning, they're not always going to be able to get to where you want to be. Where a puppy who comes in with a full con grip on that pillow the first day, and everybody goes, whoa. Yeah, you all know that, all you're going to do is increase that.
Yeah. Kev just replied now. He thinks that, I assume he means environmental pressure and pressure from the decoy, too early in a dog's life can increase the worsening of the grip.
Yes, that's true.
This is conflict on the bite, isn't it? You know, I'm on here, I don't want to be on here, should I let go?
Well, I think the decoy is the most important person in a dog's training. If you're going to do bite work, the decoy is, the trainer is not even involved at most of the point. It has to be the decoy. The decoy has to be able to feel the pressure, to be able to see where that's at. So when we're teaching puppies, especially when we start teaching the pockets and all that, I'm looking in there. I want to see that lip press back. And I want to move the dog in and out of his drives. I'm going to move the dog from his prey drive into his fight drive. And I want to put him into fight drive a little bit, so, you know, because fight drive bites are usually fast, fast, fast.
Yeah.
And if you watch two dogs fighting each other, they don't use full calm mouth grips. You know, they're biting. You know, that's a fight. But, so when we keep them in prey drive, we get that nice calm bite. We put just enough conflict in them so they start to move into that fight drive, and then let them back into the prey drive so they start to learn how to keep a calmer, fuller grip even into the fight. And they learn by staying calm in the fight, they actually win the fight because you take it out. So the decoys, sadly, a lot of decoys are just way too hectic with dogs at a young age. All the whip cracking and all the screaming, all that movement. Yeah, I work dogs at a much calmer level, even with our police working dogs. My movement, my suit is very slight. It doesn't take much. These dogs can spot rabbits from 100 yards out, and they're taking a small movement. So with that, you don't need to do a lot. And if you have to excite a dog that much, you might be working with the wrong dog. If I have to work that hard to get the dog to engage, I'm probably not working with the best dog.
Well, it's like this guy as an example. I can make him engage with a tug. Does he have any interest in that? Absolutely not. My energy's got to be up here somewhere. And he's like,
yeah,
okay, fine.
Yeah.
I just get a tug out for one of these two, and they immediately go to this.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to move, doesn't have to do anything, it's just here, and they're like, oh my God.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, it is moving them back and forth within those drives to make sure the bite stays calm, moving them in the fight drive, a little bit at a time, just don't break that threshold. And I like to think about dog training of any kind for behavior increase. I want to ride this arc to I'm just about to push them over the edge, but I come back. Just about to push them over the edge, and I come back. And I'm going to slowly increase his behavior. Whereas a lot of trainers or decoys, they'll take the dog, they hit the arc, they go to the other side.
Yeah.
Now you actually want to start at a much lower level to get the dog back up.
Instead of starting at 0, you do that and you're starting at -50.
Yeah, and we try to push too much. We're like, hey, I want to get at least this much training time in. I want to do this many bites with my dog. No, you have to be able to know that this is where your dog was perfect, and then go, that was beautiful, you're done today. Yeah, and we'll come out another day, we'll do another beautiful spot and push it a little bit further. And work at a pace that just keeps that arc rising. And it's all in the decoy's hands.
What do you think about, you've just said there, obviously, we get a really good win, you're done for the day. What's your views on latent learning?
Latent learning?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like once a dog's adolescent?
No, latent learning as in, you go out, we train, I put you back away, and you learn about that session whilst resting.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. So you're reinforcing it. So it's not much different than humans. If you do any kind of looking into how to best remember something, you get the information, you repeat the information several times. Then you wait an hour, you come back and repeat the information again. Then you wait until 6 hours later, you repeat the information again. And now you're a better chance of keeping it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just slam it all into 15 minutes, don't look at it again for another 2 days, your likelihood of recall goes out the window. So yes, absolutely, go up, that's what I'm talking about. Hit that arc, put the dog up. Bring him back out, hit the arc, put him back up. So he keeps remembering this is what happened. That last snapshot in their mind, taking the prize back to the vehicle or whatever it was, that's what they're going to come out and remember. If they remember too much pressure, come out, arc, over arc, now we put them up. Now the dog remember the last thing was a negative. He comes back and goes, yeah, I'm not cool with this.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy that. We're not doing this again.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up soon. We've had Rob here for an hour, so I'm sure you've got life to go to. If anyone's got any more questions, ping them in the box really quickly. Is your dog around, Rob? Or has he gone out?
He's out.
Oh, shit.
I can bring him in. Take about a minute.
Yeah, go grab him. Go grab him.
All right, I'll go grab him.
Let's see him as a finisher. Okay, guys, yeah, so any more questions, just ping them in the question box. Rob's going to be going after this, as am I. I'll let these dogs out. The links to the things that we've been talking about will be in the box below. Kev, don't even use the whip. Yeah, and I think, well, obviously, you know far more about decoying than me, dude, but I see the reasoning behind that completely, because I think, especially online, you know, not the decoys that I work and have worked with, but other decoys. There's so much stimulation in the dog so young, and you can see their heads wobbling. You know, they're really chewy and they're spitting the sleeve out, and conflict of, do I stay in this fight, do I go? But yeah, I like that. Matt, Yerkes Dodson Law. That was the book. I'm gonna Google it. Oh, there it is. There it is.
Alright, here comes Sam.
How old's this guy now?
Gotta give up here for him, but you can't see it. So this is a Malinois.
Oh, there he is.
Okay. So yeah, now see something in his mouth.
So yeah, that's Rob, everyone, and Samson. I'm sure we'll have him on again at some point. But have you got any last words, Rob, before we go?
Well, like I said, the biggest thing, remember, the behavior that's allowed, the behavior that's encouraged. Understanding and starting to learn more about where your dog works in the spectrum. You know, what quadrant they work in. Consistency. Dogs have to work in a very black and white world. You can't allow them a behavior one day and then restrict them the next day without confusing the dog, especially if you're using things and any kind of compulsion in training. You can't give a dog a correction one day for doing something and the next day you're okay with it. That's when the reward-based only trainers are absolutely right. You will ruin a relationship. And you
Well, there's no clarity there's no clarity for the dog, is there? You know, you let me do this yesterday. Why am I getting told off now?
Yeah. Yeah, the dog just goes, okay, and that's where we start getting into things like, you know, learned helplessness and things like that, where the dog just goes, fine, I just don't want a life anymore. You know, if you're gonna, you gotta be fair. Yeah, you gotta be consistent. You gotta, you know, praise a dog when praise is due, and correct a dog when correction is due, and you could do those two things in a very short window. My dog can, you know, do something that's unwanted, receive a correction, and then change the behavior to something I want and receive a reward. And so therefore we diminish one, we increase the other. Diminish one, increase the other, till the dog just goes, okay, I'll just do this end of it.
And this can be literally within 2 seconds.
3 seconds, yeah. You can have a 3-second window. Correction, reward. You know, because again, there's no quality, there's no emotional quality to a correction. We think about it as a punishment as humans because we go, I'm only going to punish you if you make me angry.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so when I was a child, I never got a spanking I did deserve. I was a pretty rotten kid. I got lots of spankings. But I never got one that wasn't meant to express my parents' frustration and anger. They were angry when they gave me that spanking.
Yeah.
So as a dog trainer, I became a better parent, I think. And my children would only receive a spanking for certain behaviors. Lie, cheat, steal, talk back to your mother. Those 4 things would get you a spanking. Everything else could be talked about. And if you lied about something you did, you got the spanking and the punishment for the other thing you did. Break the neighbor's window with a ball. Did you do that? No. Okay, spanking for lying. No, tell me the truth.
Now we have to discuss the window as well.
Yeah. You do this. But it was very calm. My daughter, who's now grown and out of the house, laughs about it because she tells her friends and they think it's funny. But yeah, she would do something, talk back to her mother, and go, okay, meet you in your room. Go into the room. Okay, this is why we're going to have to have a spanking. Okay, okay. Give them a spank, they get up. You go, love you. They love you too. And it's okay. The spanking's meant to decrease the behavior. Yeah, it's not meant to be because I'm so angry with you. And because of that, we quickly diminish the behavior.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure. Good analogy. Yeah, I like it. Okay, guys. Big thanks, Rob, for coming on. Really
you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
I'm sure we'll chat again at some point, and I'll send you this over when it's all edited, and we'll get it online.
Sounds good.
Okay. Right. See you later, everyone.
Yeah, good day.